Admiral Do-hyun Kim stood tall on the bridge of the massive battleship Indomitable. His dark eyes never left the main screen that showed the stars. At 65 years old, he had seen many battles. The scars on his face told stories of close calls and hard-won fights. "Admiral, we have an urgent message from command," said Communications Officer Tai-ho Bae. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed worry. Kim nodded. "Put it on screen." The stars disappeared, replaced by the stern face of Fleet Commander June Park. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed. "Admiral Kim, I have bad news," she said. "The Vespid Dominion has attacked 3 human colony worlds in the Tau Ceti system. Over 10,000 civilians are dead. Many more are missing." Kim's face hardened. The Vespids were known across the galaxy as conquerors. They looked like large insects, with 6 limbs and hard outer shells. For thousands of years they had taken what they wanted from weaker races. "The Coalition has finally approved a full military response," Commander Park continued. "Your fleet is the closest to Tau Ceti. You must stop the Vespids and protect what remains of our colonies." "We will not fail, Commander," Kim said simply. After the call ended, Kim turned to his crew. The bridge of the Indomitable was a model of efficiency. 20 officers worked at stations that ringed the central command area. Soft blue light from screens lit their focused faces. "Intelligence Officer Park, what do we know about the Vespid forces at Tau Ceti?" Kim asked. Mina Park stood from her station and approached the central holographic display. With a few quick hand movements, she brought up images of insect-like ships. "The Vespids have 30 warships in orbit around Tau Ceti 4, she said. "Their ships are organic, grown rather than built. They can heal damage during battle." She zoomed in on one massive ship. "This is their command vessel. It carries their leader, High Commander Vrex." Lieutenant Jiwoo Lee spoke up from the tactical station. "The Vespids still use technology they developed centuries ago. They believe it's perfect and have barely improved it. And they think we are weak because we are new to space," Kim said. It wasn't a question. Humans had only joined the Galactic Coalition 50 years ago. Most alien races had been in space for thousands or even millions of years. They saw humans as children, barely out of their cradle. What the aliens didn't understand was that this view was dangerous. Humans had compressed centuries of growth into decades. The threat of powerful aliens had united Earth like nothing before. All resources went into developing better ships, better weapons, better defenses. "Bring up our fleet status," Kim ordered. The holographic display changed to show 12 ships, the pride of Earth's 7th Fleet. The Indomitable led them, a massive battleship with the latest weapons. Around it were arranged 3 heavy cruisers, Thunderbolt, Avalanche, and Mountain. Then came the carrier Resolute, which held 100 fighter craft. The other 7 ships were smaller, but no less deadly. "All ships report ready for jump, Admiral," said Executive Officer Gina Kang. She had served with Kim for 15 years and knew his thoughts almost before he did. "Good," Kim said. "Have all captains join me for a strategy meeting in 1 hour." 1 hour later, 11 faces appeared on screens around Kim's conference room. Each commanded one of the fleet's ships. Some looked young, others old. All looked determined. "The situation is simple," Kim began. "The Vespids have attacked our colonies. They have killed our people. They must be stopped." He brought up Mina Park's intelligence report on a screen. "The enemy has 30 ships to our 12. They think this makes them stronger." Captain Sunwoo Choi of the stealth cruiser Shadow Dancer smiled. "They still think numbers are what matter in space combat." "Exactly," Kim agreed. "They don't know what we can do, and we will show them." He outlined the battle plan. The human fleet would jump directly into the Tau Ceti system using their advanced FTL drives. This technology, developed just 5 years ago, allowed for precise positioning after faster-than-light travel. Most alien races, including the Vespids, couldn't do this. "We will deploy WASP drones immediately upon arrival," Kim continued. Engineer Hyejin Kang, who had helped design the drones, nodded on her screen. The weaponized autonomous swarm platforms are ready, Admiral. We have 10,000 of them loaded. The tiny drones were a human innovation. Each was the size of a fist, but carried powerful weapons and smart AI. They would swarm the enemy ships like angry hornets. Captain Yoon, your fighters will launch as soon as the drones create openings, Kim said. Captain Jaehyun Yoon of the carrier Resolute nodded firmly. My pilots are ready. They've trained for this moment. And I have a special surprise for the Vespid command ship, added Lieutenant Yoon Ju Han from the weapons cruiser Lightning Strike. Her ship carried the newest weapon in Earth's arsenal, kinetic penetrators that could punch through any known shield. Kim looked at each captain in turn. The Vespids have never faced humanity's full might. They think we are weak because we are young. Today they will learn differently. He stood up straight. This is not just about revenge. If we don't stop the Vespids now, they will attack more colonies. More humans will die. We cannot allow this. The captains nodded in agreement. Prepare your ships, Kim ordered. We jump in 2 hours. Back on the bridge, Admiral Kim stared at the star map showing their jump path to Tau Ceti. The distance was fast, 12 light years. But with their new drives, they would arrive in just under 3 hours. Mina Park approached him quietly. Admiral, I finished analyzing the Vespid communication patterns we intercepted. They're very confident. They don't expect us to arrive for at least 2 days using standard drives. Kim almost smiled. Then we will surprise them. Sir, she hesitated. There's something else. The Vespids have started landing troops on the colony world. They're taking human prisoners. His jaw tightened. Then we have no time to waste. He turned to the bridge crew. All hands, prepare for FTL jump. Sound battle stations. Red lights began to flash throughout the ship. A deep alarm sounded 3 times. All ships report ready, Admiral, Executive Officer Kang announced. Kim took his command chair and pressed a button on the arm. His voice would now reach every person, on every ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Kim. Today we face an enemy that has plagued the galaxy for thousands of years. The Vespids believe their age makes them superior. They believe we are easy prey because we are new to the stars. He paused, letting his words sink in. They are wrong. Humanity does not bow to bullies. We do not run from threats. We meet them head-on. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier in this fleet represents Earth's answer to those who would harm us. The bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of computers. Our mission is clear. We will destroy the Vespid fleet. We will save our people. And we will show the galaxy that humanity has arrived. He nodded to the navigation officer. All ships, commence jump to Tau Ceti. Formation Delta on arrival. May fortune favor the bold. The stars outside began to stretch into lines as the human fleet, Earth's finest warriors and most advanced technology, jumped toward a battle that would change the course of galactic history. High Commander Vrex lounged on his command throne aboard the massive Vespid flagship Eternal Dominance. The ship was the pride of the Vespid fleet, a living vessel grown over 200 years from special genetic material. Its outer hull was a dark purple covered in armor plates that looked like giant scales. Inside, the walls pulsed with organic life, glowing with a soft amber light. Vrex himself was an impressive sight. Standing over 7 feet tall, his insect-like body was covered in a shiny black exoskeleton. 6 limbs, 4 arms and 2 legs, gave him both strength and dexterity. His large compound eyes could see in almost all directions at once. Sharp mandibles clicked together when he spoke, a sound that made most other species nervous. Bring me the latest reports from the surface, Vrex ordered, his voice a deep buzzing sound. Second Commander Kraz scurried forward, his smaller frame showing, proper submission to his leader. He handed over a living data pad, a flat organic screen that connected directly to the ship's brain. The human colony is nearly stripped, High Commander, Kraz reported. We have taken 3,000 prisoners for labor. The rest fled or were eliminated. Excellent, Vrex chittered. These humans are even weaker than I expected. They build pitiful defenses and their weapons barely scratched our landing ships. From his throne, Vrex could look out through the massive viewing membrane at the front of the bridge. The blue-green planet of Tau Ceti IV hung below them. Tiny flashes of light on the night side showed where Vespid forces were still fighting, small pockets of human resistance. Around the flagship, 29 other Vespid warships held position. They varied in size and shape, but all were living vessels like the Eternal Dominants. Some were shaped like giant beetles, others like wasps or spiders. Each was grown for a specific purpose, some for carrying troops, others for direct combat. The Yao mining operations are proceeding on schedule, reported Resources Officer Zith. This planet is rich in rare minerals. The Queen will be pleased. Vrex's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of satisfaction. The Vespid Dominion had ruled their sector of space for over 12,000 years. In that time, they had conquered hundreds of worlds and dozens of alien species. The massive Vespid homeworld, with its enormous hive cities, needed constant resources to support its growing population. What news of the human response? Vrex asked, turning his attention to Intelligence Officer Draz. Draz stepped forward nervously. Unlike the others, his exoskeleton was a mottled green color, marking him as part of the Thinker caste. Our listening posts detected communications from Earth, High Commander, Draz said. They appear to have dispatched a fleet. Our calculations show they cannot arrive for at least 2 standard days. Vrex made a sound that roughly translated as laughter. And how large is this fleet? Just 12 ships, High Commander. This time, several officers on the bridge joined in the clicking laughter. 12 ships against our 30, Combat Officer Grax said. The humans are either brave or stupid. Both, I think, Vrex replied. They are a young species, barely a century of space travel under their belts. When we intercepted their colony ships 50 years ago, their technology was primitive. What the Vespids didn't understand, what most older galactic species failed to grasp, was that humanity's short time in space was actually their greatest strength. While the Vespids had been using the same technology for thousands of years, making only small improvements, humans had compressed centuries of development into decades. The discovery of alien life had shocked Earth into unity. Nations that once fought each other now worked together against external threats. Every human scientist, every engineer, every resource was focused on one goal: survival in a dangerous galaxy. Still, Draz said hesitantly, there are rumors about human ships. Some say they have developed new weapons. Vrex waved a clawed hand, dismissively. All species develop new weapons when they first reach space. None have challenged Vespid superiority in 12,000 years. These humans will be no different. He stood from his throne, his full height making the other officers step back respectfully. When their pitiful fleet arrives, we will crush them, quickly. Then we will proceed to their other colonies. Within a year, the human species will serve the Dominion like all others before them. As if to emphasize his confidence, Vrex did something unusual. I am bored of waiting on the bridge. Prepare my pleasure chamber. I will enjoy some human food and relaxation. Call me when their fleet is detected. The officers looked at each other in surprise. It was rare for a commander to leave the bridge during an operation, but none dared question Vrex's decision. As Vrex left, Second Commander Kraz took control of the bridge. Continue standard operations, he ordered. Full sensor sweeps every 30 minutes. The human fleet may be small, but we will be ready when they arrive. 2 hours later, in his private chamber, Vrex enjoyed exotic fruits taken from the human colony. His chamber was lined with trophies from dozens of conquered worlds. Weapons, art, even preserved body parts from particularly worthy enemies. A soft chime interrupted his meal. He pressed a pad on the wall, opening a communication line. What is it? I gave orders not to disturb me. The nervous face of Sensor Officer Thriz appeared on the organic screen. Apologies, High Commander, but we've detected something unusual. There are energy readings at the edge of the system. They don't match any known signature. Vrex felt a flicker of irritation. Probably a sensor malfunction. The humans cannot possibly have arrived yet. Yes, High Commander, but... Fix your equipment, Officer Thriz. I will return to the bridge in 1 hour. Vrex cut the communication and returned to his meal. Young officers were always seeing threats where none existed. It was part of his job to teach them patience and confidence. Still, something about the officer's tone bothered him. After a moment's hesitation, Rex decided to finish his meal quickly and return to the bridge early. It wouldn't hurt to be cautious. 30 minutes later, Vrex strode onto the bridge of the Eternal Dominance, expecting to find everything normal. Instead, he found chaos. "High Commander." Kraz rushed to meet him. "We've confirmed multiple energy signatures at the edge of the system. They appeared suddenly, all at once." "Impossible," Vrex said. "No species can coordinate an FTL exit that precisely." "The humans have," Sensor Officer Thriz said. His voice was shaking. 12 ships, sir. They're in perfect formation." Vrex rushed to the sensor station and looked at the readings himself. What he saw made his blood run cold. The human ships had indeed appeared in perfect formation, something that should be technically impossible. Even more concerning were the energy readings coming from the vessels. "These can't be right," he said. "These energy outputs are massive." "The readings are confirmed, High Commander," Thriz insisted. "And there's more. The human ships are deploying something. Thousands of small objects." Vrex's mind raced. Had he underestimated these humans? Was it possible that this young species had developed technology that the mighty Vespid Dominion didn't understand? "Battle stations," he roared. "All ships prepare for combat. Move to defensive formation Beta." As alarms blared throughout the ship, Vrex returned to his command throne. His earlier confidence was gone, replaced by a growing feeling he had rarely experienced: doubt. "Communications. Send word to the Queen. Tell her we have engaged the Yaoi humans and will report our victory shortly." But even as he gave the order, Vrex wondered if that victory was as certain as he had believed. Captain Sunwoo Choi sat perfectly still in the command chair of the stealth cruiser Shadow Dancer. His ship was the smallest in the 7th Fleet, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in stealth technology. The Shadow Dancer could slip past enemy sensors undetected, a perfect scout ship. The crew around him worked in complete silence. The bridge was dark, lit only by the soft glow of screens. This helped the crew focus during stealth operations. "All systems green for jump exit," reported Navigation Officer Daehyun Oh. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "Coordinates locked with the fleet." Choi nodded. His ship would exit FTL at the exact same moment as the rest of the WE fleet. This precision jumping was a new human technology developed just 3 years ago. No other species in the galaxy could do it yet. The ship's communication system activated and Admiral Kim's voice filled the bridge. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim. Our mission is clear. Neutralize the Vespid threat and secure the colony." Choi listened carefully as the Admiral continued. "Remember your training. The enemy outnumbers us, but they don't outmatch us. Formation Delta on emergence." "Acknowledged, Admiral," Choi replied. "The Shadow Dancer is ready." Similar confirmations came in from the other ship captains. Despite facing a larger enemy fleet, there was no fear in their voices, only determination. The final seconds before jump exit ticked down on the main screen. Choi gripped his chair's armrests tightly. 3, 2, 1. Jump exit now. The Shadow Dancer smoothly transitioned from FTL travel back to normal space. The stars reappeared on the view screen, no longer stretched into lines. Directly ahead, the blue-green planet of Tau Ceti 4 hung in space, and around it, clearly visible, were 30 Vespid warships. "Perfect emergence," Daehyun announced. "We are exactly where we should be." Choi allowed himself a small smile. On his tactical display, he could see all 12 human ships had appeared simultaneously, arranged in formation Delta, an attack pattern designed specifically for this battle. Gyaki, largest ship, Admiral Kim's Indomitable, formed the center point. The 3 heavy cruisers, Thunderbolt, Avalanche, and Mountain, created a triangle around it. The carrier Resolute sat protected behind them. The Shadow Dancer and the other, smaller ships formed the outer ring, ready to dart forward or provide support as needed. "Vespid fleet detected," called out Sensor Officer Jihye Ryu. "They appear to be scrambling to respond. Their formation is breaking." "They didn't expect us so soon," Choi said. And they certainly didn't expect us to appear in battle formation. Most species emerged from FTL travel at random points, needing time to find each other and form up. The human fleet had just demonstrated a tactical advantage that would change space warfare forever. WASP drones deploying from all ships, reported Weapons Officer Taeyong Seo. On the view screen, Choi watched as tiny points of light erupted from the human fleet. Thousands of small drones, each the size of a fist, spread outward like a glittering cloud. The weaponized autonomous swarm platforms were another human innovation. Tiny, intelligent weapons platforms that could overwhelm enemy defenses through sheer numbers. On the Indomitable, Admiral Kim watched the battle display with intense focus. Engineer Heejin Kang stood beside him, monitoring the WASP drone deployment. All drones away, Admiral, she reported. System checks show 100% functionality. Kim nodded, his eyes never leaving the display. Begin Phase 2. Communications Officer Tai Ho Bei sent the order to all ships. Around the fleet, weapon systems powered up. The 3 heavy cruisers moved slightly forward, their massive guns targeting the largest Vespid ships. Sir, we're receiving transmissions from the Vespid fleet, Bei reported. They're demanding our surrender. Kim's face remained impassive. No response necessary. They'll have our answer soon enough. On the tactical display, the WASP drones approached the Vespid fleet. The tiny machines moved in perfect coordination, like flocks of birds changing direction as one. They targeted the gaps between the Vespid ships, exploiting the weak points in their formation. The Vespids are firing on the drones, reported Executive Officer Gina Kang. Their point defense systems are active. Beams of energy shot out from the Vespid ships, destroying dozens of drones. But for every drone destroyed, hundreds more continued forward. It was like trying to stop a flood with a few rocks. WASP drones. In position, Engineer Kang announced. Initiating EMP burst in 3, in 2, in 1. Aboard the Vespid flagship, High Commander Vrex watched in growing horror as the human drones swarmed toward his fleet. Destroy those things, he roared. All ships concentrate fire. But there were too many. The tiny machines slipped through the defensive fire, surrounding his ships like a metallic cloud. What are they doing? Vrex demanded. Are they explosive? Weapons. Before anyone could answer, a wave of blue energy pulsed from the drones. It washed over the Vespid ships, seemingly doing nothing at first. Then the screaming began. The ship, cried Navigator Frax. I can't feel the ship anymore. Vrex felt it too. The constant background connection between his mind and the living vessel had suddenly gone silent. The organic walls of the bridge, usually pulsing with light, grew dim. Report, Vrex shouted. What just happened? Sensor Officer Thriz worked frantically at his station. It was some kind of electromagnetic pulse specifically tuned to disrupt the neural connection between our crews and the ships. The Vespid ships were alive, part biological, part machine. The crews controlled them through direct neural links. With those links severed, the mighty warships were little more than floating hulks. Switch to manual controls, Vrex ordered. All ships, emergency protocols. But it was already too late. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Kim received confirmation that the EMP attack had worked. All Vespid ships show disrupted neural patterns, reported Intelligence Officer Mina Park. Their ships are not responding to commands. Phase 3, Kim ordered. All ships, execute Fire Protocol Omega. On the carrier Resolute, Captain Jae-hyun Yoon gave the order his pilots had been waiting for. All squadrons, launch now. Red Squadron, take the flanks. Blue Squadron, target their command nodes. 100 fighter craft shot out from the carrier's launch bays. Unlike the Vespid ships, human vessels were fully mechanical, unaffected by the EMP that had crippled the enemy. The fighters streaked toward the Vespid fleet, targeting specific weak points identified in intelligence briefings. They moved in ways that seemed to defy physics, making turns so sharp and acceleration so fast that organic pilots would have been crushed. But the advanced inertial dampening systems protected the human pilots, allowing maneuvers the Vespids had never seen before. Meanwhile, the three heavy cruisers moved into firing position, their main weapons, quantum-phased particle beams, powered up, targeting the largest Vespid battleships. "Quantum beams at full charge," reported the weapons officer on the Thunderbolt. "Fire," ordered Captain Min Seok Shim. Three brilliant white beams shot out simultaneously from the human cruisers. They struck three different Vespid battleships with perfect accuracy. The beams didn't explode on impact. Instead, they passed through the organic hulls like they weren't even there. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the struck Vespid ships began to break apart from the inside. The quantum beams had disrupted the molecular bonds holding the organic ships together. On the weapons cruiser Lightning Strike, Lieutenant Yoon-Ju Han prepared her ship's special weapon. "Kinetic penetrators locked on Vespid command ship," she reported to Admiral Kim through the fleet communication system. "Ready to fire on your command." Kim's response was immediate. "Fire." Lieutenant Yoon-Ju Han's fingers moved with calm precision over the weapons console of the Lightning Strike. Her ship carried humanity's newest weapon, the kinetic penetrators. These were not simple bullets or missiles. They were special projectiles, designed to bypass energy shields completely. "Kinetic penetrators locked on target," she announced. The main screen showed the massive Vespid command ship, its purple hull now dark and sluggish after the EMP attack. Firing sequence initiated. A soft hum built up through the ship as the magnetic accelerators powered up. Unlike traditional weapons, the penetrators made no flash or explosion when fired. There was only a slight shudder as 5 metal rods, each no bigger than a human arm, shot out from the Lightning Strike at incredible speed. The rods moved at a significant fraction of light speed, so fast they were almost invisible to the naked eye. They crossed the space between the human and Vespid fleets in less than a second. When they struck the Vespid command ship, they didn't explode. They simply punched through the hull, their enormous kinetic energy transferring into the target. The result was devastating. Huge chunks of the organic ship tore away from the impact points. Internal explosions rippled through its structure as energy systems failed. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Kim watched the attack with a tactical eye. A timer appeared in the corner of his display, counting up from the moment the battle began. 07.37 seconds into the battle, and the Vespids had already lost their neural connections to their ships, and their command vessel was severely damaged. "All ships continue the attack," Kim ordered. "Maintain formation Delta." Aboard the crippled Vespid flagship, High Commander Vrex struggled to understand what was happening. Alarms blared all around him. The organic walls of the bridge were turning, black, dying without their neural connection to the crew. "What hit us?" he demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Some kind of physical projectiles," Second Commander Kraz reported. His voice shook with fear. "They weren't explosive, but they cut straight through our hull like it wasn't there. Decks 5 through 12 are open to space," another officer reported. "We've lost 1/3 of the crew already." Vrex tried to access the tactical display, but the organic screens were failing. He turned to a small mechanical backup system. Old technology kept only for emergencies. What he saw made his compound eyes widen in shock. 3 of his battleships were already breaking apart, hit by some kind of energy weapon he'd never seen before. The human fighters were swarming his fleet, hitting key points with precision strikes, and the cloud of tiny drones continued to surround everything, preventing any organized defense. "Send the signal to all ships," Vrex ordered. "Emergency Protocol 9, retreat and regroup." But it was too late. The communication systems were down, and the fleet was in chaos. In the cockpit of his fighter, Squadron Leader Woo Jin-koo dove toward a Vespid support ship. His fighter was small but incredibly fast with advanced weapons for its size. "Blue 3 and 4, with me," he called to his wingmates. "Target their engine nodes." The 3 human fighters broke off from the main group, shooting toward the rear of the Vespid vessel. The enemy ship tried to turn away, but its movements were slow and clumsy without the neural connection. "Firing proton torpedoes," Koo announced. 3 small but powerful torpedoes shot out from the fighters. They hit the glowing nodes at the back of the Vespid ship, its equivalent of engines. The nodes exploded in a flash of green fire, leaving the ship dead in space. Good hits, Ku told his team. Move on to the next target. As he banked his fighter around, Ku checked his mission timer. 19. Not even 20 seconds into the battle, and the humans had already disabled multiple enemy ships. On the heavy cruiser Avalanche, Captain Subin Cho watched as her ship's main quantum beam recharged. The first shot had completely destroyed a Vespid battleship. Now she was lining up a second target. Quantum beam at 85% charge, her weapons officer reported. Target the Vespid carrier ship, Cho ordered. We need to prevent them from launching any fighters. The Avalanche turned slightly, bringing its main gun to bear on a large, flat Vespid ship. Unlike human carriers, which kept their fighters inside protected hangars, the Vespid carrier had its small attack craft attached to its outer hull like eggs. Quantum beam fully charged. Fire, Cho ordered. Another brilliant white beam shot out from the Avalanche. It struck the Vespid carrier dead center. Like the previous targets, the ship seemed intact for a moment, then began to collapse from the inside out. The molecular bonds holding it together were failing. Direct hit, Captain, the tactical officer reported with satisfaction. Target is breaking up. Cho nodded, then checked the fleet-wide tactical display. The timer now read EU0 28.228 seconds, and nearly one-third of the Vespid fleet was already destroyed or disabled. Admiral Kim stood from his command chair, watching the battle unfold. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Better, even. The Vespids had been caught completely by surprise. Status report, he ordered. Intelligence officer Mina Park responded quickly. 12 Vespid ships confirmed destroyed, 8 more heavily damaged and unable to fight. The remaining 10 are trying to regroup, but the Wasp drones are preventing effective communication between them. Our losses? Minor damage to the Mountain and the Swift Arrow. No casualties reported? Kim nodded. The battle was going even better than expected. The months of planning, the years of technological development, it was all paying off. Admiral, Communications Officer Tai-Ho Bai cut in. We're receiving a transmission from one of the Vespid ships. They're trying to surrender. A murmur of surprise ran through the bridge crew. The Vespids were known throughout the galaxy for fighting to the death. Surrender was almost unheard of in their culture. Put it on screen, Kim ordered. The main view screen flickered, showing a Vespid officer. His exoskeleton was a deep blue color, marking him as a ship commander. Behind him, the bridge of his vessel was dark, with emergency lights casting strange shadows. Human commander, the Vespid said, his mandibles clicking rapidly in what intelligence reports identified as extreme fear. We request cessation of hostilities. Our ship is disabled. We cannot fight. Kim considered for a moment. The mission was to neutralize the Vespid threat, not necessarily to destroy every ship. Cease fire on surrendered vessels, he ordered the fleet, but maintain weapons lock. Any sign of deception and we resume the attack. 3 more Vespid ships transmitted surrender signals within seconds. On the weapons cruiser Lightning Strike, Lieutenant Yoonju Han prepared a second volley of kinetic penetrators. Her target was a Vespid ship that was still fighting, trying to coordinate the remains of their fleet. Target locked, she reported. Penetrators ready to fire. You are cleared to fire, came Admiral Kim's voice over the comm. Han pressed the firing control. 5 more penetrator rods shot toward the target, crossing space in an instant. They struck the Vespid ship from different angles, tearing through its critical systems. The ship didn't explode. It simply broke apart, large chunks of its organic hull drifting in different directions. Han checked her timer. 51.7, less than a minute into the battle, and the once mighty Vespid fleet was in ruins. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Kim watched as the last fighting Vespid ship finally powered down its weapons and transmitted a surrender signal. All enemy ships have either been destroyed or have surrendered, Admiral, reported Executive Officer Gina Kang. Her voice held a note of awe. Battle is complete. Kim looked at the timer on his display. 458.4 seconds. That was all it had taken to defeat a fleet that had terrorized this sector of space for centuries. Ceasefire, Kim ordered. All ships maintain. Position. Begin damage assessment and prepare rescue teams for the Vespid survivors. He turned to Communications Officer Bay. Send word to Coalition Command. The Tau Ceti system is secure. The Vespid fleet has been neutralized. As the message was sent, Kim looked out at the scene before him. 22 Vespid ships had been completely destroyed. 5 were disabled and drifting in space. 3 had surrendered. The human fleet had suffered only minor damage to 2 vessels. No lives had been lost. Kim allowed himself a small smile. Executive? Officer Kang, make a note in the official record. Time to complete victory, 58.4 seconds. Around the bridge, the crew looked at each other in amazement. They had just made history, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. 2 hours after the battle, Admiral Do-Yun Kim stood in the observation room of the Indomitable, looking out at the remains of the Vespid fleet. Rescue operations were well underway. Small human shuttles moved between the damaged enemy ships, extracting survivors and bringing them to designated holding areas. Strange to think that just this morning, the Vespids were considered one of the most dangerous powers in this sector, said Intelligence Officer Mina Park as she joined him by the window. She handed him a datapad with the latest reports. Kim glanced through the information. 3,416 Vespid survivors so far, most from the ships that surrendered. They're in shock, Mina said. The medical team says many of them can't believe what happened. The Vespids have never lost a space battle before, not in 12,000 years. Kim nodded slowly. And they never imagined they could be defeated so quickly. 58 seconds is barely enough time to understand what's happening, let alone respond. Outside, teams of engineering drones were attaching tow cables to one of the intact but disabled Vespid ships. It would be taken back to Earth for study. The organic technology, while not as advanced as human systems, could still provide valuable insights. We've secured the colony surface as well, Mina continued. All human prisoners have been freed. The Vespid ground forces surrendered as soon as they heard what happened to their fleet. Casualties among the colonists? Mina's face grew solemn. 4,823 confirmed dead, most killed in the initial attack 3 days ago. Kim's jaw tightened. The victory had been swift and complete, but it had come too late for thousands of innocent people. Each death was a reminder of why the human fleet had to be ready, why humanity had pushed so hard to develop advanced technology in such a short time. We should have been here sooner, he said quietly. Sir, no one could have predicted the Vespid attack, Mina replied, and no one could have responded faster than we did. Before Kim could respond, the door to the observation room slid open. Communications Officer Taiho Bay entered, his expression urgent. Admiral, we're receiving multiple transmissions from throughout the sector. Word of our victory is spreading fast. In the diplomatic conference room of the Indomitable, Admiral, Kim sat at the head of a large table. The room was designed for meetings with alien species, with adjustable gravity, temperature, and atmosphere settings. Today, it held a most unusual gathering. On the large view screen that took up one wall, representatives from 15 different alien governments waited to speak with him. Some were members of the Galactic Coalition, others were independent worlds, and a few were traditionally hostile to human interest. Admiral Kim, began the representative from the Arcadian Republic, a longtime coalition member. His blue, fish-like face showed clear amazement. We have received reports that your fleet defeated the Vespid Armada in less than 1 minute. Is this accurate? 58.4 seconds from first engagement to their surrender, Kim confirmed. We have the battle records if you wish to review them. A murmur ran through the alien representatives. Some looked shocked, others frightened. This is unprecedented, said the representative from the Centauri Confederacy, a reptilian being with golden scales. The Vespids have terrorized this sector for millennia. They have destroyed entire civilizations. And you humans, the newest members of the coalition, defeated them in less than 1 minute? Asked another representative, disbelief clear in his voice. Kim kept his face neutral. The Vespids made a critical error. They assumed that because humanity is young in space travel, Our technology must be primitive. They failed to understand that our short time among the stars is actually our greatest strength. Explain, demanded the representative from the Orion Combine, a traditionally hostile power. Most species develop space technology gradually, over thousands or even millions of years, Kim said. You make small improvements to existing systems generation after generation, but humanity was different. He stood up and began to pace slowly, choosing his words carefully. When we discovered we were not alone in the universe 50 years ago, it changed everything for us. Nations that had fought each other for centuries united against potential external threats. Every scientist, every engineer, every resource on Earth was focused on one goal: survival in a dangerous galaxy. Kim looked directly at the camera, making eye contact with each representative in turn. We compressed millennia of technological development into decades. We didn't follow the same path as other species. We leaped ahead, taking risks, trying approaches that older civilizations had never considered. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "Are you saying," began the Arcadian representative carefully, "that all human ships are this advanced?" Kim chose not to answer directly. Let them wonder. Let them worry about what other technological surprises humanity might have. I'm saying that underestimating humanity is a dangerous mistake, one the Vespids will not repeat. 3 days after the battle, in his private quarters, Admiral Kim recorded his personal log. It had been a tradition in Earth navies for centuries, and he maintained it even in space. Personal log, Admiral Do-Yeon Kim. The situation at Tau Ceti has stabilized. Rescue and recovery operations continue on the colony world. Engineering teams estimate it will take 6 months to rebuild the major settlements. He paused, gathering his thoughts. The diplomatic impact of our victory has been significant. 6 previously neutral systems have applied for coalition membership in the past 48 hours. 3 others, traditionally hostile to human interests, have reached out to discuss peace treaties. Kim walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Most notably, we received a transmission from the Vespid homeworld this morning. Their queen, the ultimate authority in their civilization, has requested terms for the surrender of their entire species. After 12,000 years of conquest, the Vespid dominion has fallen. He shook his head, still finding it hard to believe. Intelligence. Officer Park says this is unprecedented in galactic history. No major power has ever collapsed so completely after a single battle. But then, no battle has ever been decided so quickly. Kim sat back down at his desk, looking at the pictures of his family, his wife, his son and daughter, his grandchildren. They were why he fought, why all humans fought. Not for conquest or resources, but to protect their future. Fleet Command has ordered the 7th Fleet to remain at Tau Ceti for the next month. 6 additional human fleets are being deployed throughout the sector, a show of force to discourage any other species that might see the power vacuum as an opportunity. He sighed, feeling the weight of responsibility. The galaxy will never be the same after today. The species that once dismissed us as primitive newcomers now understand. Underestimating humanity is the last mistake any aggressor will ever make. 1 week later, news of the battle had spread throughout the entire galaxy. On 100 worlds, in 1,000 different languages, people talked about the humans, the young species that had defeated the mighty Vespid Dominion in less than 1 minute. In the halls of the Galactic Coalition, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered for an emergency session. The main topic: how to respond to humanity's sudden emergence as a major power. Some called for restrictions on human expansion. Others argued for closer alliance with the rapidly advancing species. A few, mostly those with histories of aggression, quietly put their own plans for conquest on hold. On Earth, celebrations were tempered by mourning for those lost in the colonies. But there was also pride. Humanity had proven itself. After centuries of looking up at the stars and wondering if they were alone, humans had not only joined the galactic community, they had become one of its most powerful members. In shipyards, orbiting Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, New vessels took shape, each more advanced than the last. Research centers across the solar system worked on technologies that other species had never imagined. And at the edge of human space, colonies that had once feared attack now slept peacefully, knowing they were protected by the most powerful fleet in the sector. The message was clear to all who looked toward Earth. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. ND.